In this video I'm going to show you how to transform Transbots Cup version 2 from alt mode to robot mode, and hopefully show you how to avoid breaking the ankle joint. Let's begin by pulling up these sections here, disconnecting that tab, disconnecting these sections here. It's that tab that's holding it in place there. And bring them up like that, and then we need to disconnect the bed of the truck. So, forgot about the weapons storage. So open these panels here, open up the hip skirt and pull that out. If you watched the other video about getting it into alt mode, you would know all about that. So to give us as much space as possible to disconnect the tabs, what I'm going to do is fold that tab that way, and then fold, that's a panel not a tab, and then fold that panel on top of it. We need to get this light peg out of that hole there, and what you can do is push it that way as you wiggle apart the leg, and then once it's come out, I'm just using this portion of the leg just to fold the hook out the way. Now I'm going to swap these panels over. They're stacked on top of each other, so I can do the same on the other side. And unless you've got really fat thumbs, there should be clearance, but you might want to maybe stick something in there to wiggle it out like that. And then I'm going to use the leg just to fold the tab, and then that comes out of the way like that. Wonderful. Disconnect the tab from the thigh and use the thigh slider. Just go in till you hear that little tiny click. Can't hear it. Anyway, it's not completely collapsed, but these are disconnected on this side. And now we've got to get the arm that holds the panel, the truck bed, out from under these two pieces here. And this can be done without forcing. Make sure that these side pieces are disconnected, and then use the ab crunch joint just to open it up a little bit. And then, if you can see in here, we've got a double hinge where the butt flap meets the hip. On one side you want that double hinge to bring the panel all the way up, while on the other side you have it pushed all the way down, and then we've got quite a lot of clearance in there. Now we can use the waist rotation. I'm going to turn the front of the vehicle this way and turn the back of the vehicle this way. Or am I? No, I'm going to go the other way. The top is going to go that way, and the bottom is going to go that way, like just a little bit. And that will hopefully enable that to go through there quite easily. And then I'm going to twist it the other way so I have the space to go through there. It looks pretty easy. Take your time with it, jiggle it, don't force it, and then fold the whole section up. I'm going to take care of the backpack now. Going to make sure that these hooks are folded about halfway, and then bring these panels around to the outside. Now you can fold those hooks all the way in. Flip up the back of the truck. This is a sliding hinge swivel. You can see it there. Rotate it round, close this end in first, and then squeeze that joint closed if it isn't closed already. And then the side panels, there's a tab there for that hole. Always find that side a little bit harder. And then just tuck that out of the way. Now, this double hinge, as with many double hinges, there's a right way and a wrong way. If you just lifted out like this, it's going to get stuck there. What you have to do is pull this end of the panel out first. Like that. Then you can fold it on top and flip the whole piece over. Just close that down, deal with that later. Fold these panels in and fold these panels in. Keep all of the hip skirts out the way. Spread the legs using the creaky articulation joint, and the thigh sliders can be closed as well. I'm going to start by working on his right leg. This is the part that I hate. I've spent ages struggling with this. I don't know if I can convey this on camera very well. Fold this panel in, and that clips in place. If you jiggle the foot back and forth like this, you'll be able to free up. You can see now that the toe section is no longer flush with the heel. And what you can do is you can take your thumbnail, and there's a lip running around the toe section. Well, there's a weird sentence. So you want to take your fingernail and hook it under the lip that runs around Cup's toes. Yeah. And flip it up. So you can see that there's a lip there. Bring that up, and then we've got to get the tip of this section, the tip of the heel section, out from under this light blue lip. Focus. To do that, we need to pull up on the toe section. Oh, it popped out by itself. Okay, you might need to jiggle it and twiddle around with it. Then open this section up. We need to rotate this panel without opening up the calf panel, because if you open up the calf with the foot in this place, you're going to rip the ankle joint apart. So squeeze here and then hold the leg closed, because this rotating this panel is difficult. It eases up over time, but it is a bit tricky. So try and squeeze this part together. There's a tiny bit of flex, or maybe I've just got fists of steel. Rotate this panel out like that. So now this tab has come out of this hole. You can see that the foot is underneath this panel here. But it's going to come out, and we're going to do that by putting this, folding it around onto this side. This blue piece is tucked under here. It's going to come out through here. So what we've got to do is use the rotation ability of the slider that the foot is on to push this section around this pin joint. There. So now you can see, where's my pointer, that the heel section has folded around onto the back portion of this pin joint. This light blue piece is tucked under this panel, and the foot now has just about enough space to come out without dislodging this. If you don't get this, let's see if we can push this over a little bit further. See, if you just try and pull this out without enough clearance here, you'll snap this panel off. You can glue it back together, but, well, it's stress you don't need. So now that panel is looking pretty good, and I can just pull that up to there. And now you can see that there is just about enough clearance there. Oh, look, there we go. Just tilted the foot over. Now there's clearance. I can open up the back panel. Be careful. There we go. Because this is the joint that I've broken and repaired and broken and repaired. But now that I know how to do it properly, now that I know how to transform it properly, it's not an issue. Flatten the foot and the heel and the toe section. Make sure that this bumper section is tucked in, and swivel the foot over. Open the panel as much as you can. Push the wheel in, and you're going to get the thigh out from the calf. But remember, do not combine or walls it out, because there's no clearance. You'll rip all the paint off. You can see that I've already got lots of paint damage, but I've been transforming and posing this figure a lot for the last few days. So push the wheel up and slide the thigh out, like so. There's a sliding joint there. You're going to need something long, thin and hard. I recommend trying your penis. Slide that over there. Flip this blue thing out. There's a little hole just there, and that light blue piece has got to go in there. First we need to close this panel, and what we're going to do is put that light blue piece into that hole. Good camera work. And then push the wheel so that this panel closes. And then we've got to put that tab into that hole, or the hole into the tab rather. Make sure the foot is out of the way. Fold this panel in. You can see that's going in nicely. And then rotate that panel to close that. Close the foot. One leg done. Left leg. Close the bumper section. Push it all the way in. Rotate this panel without opening up the leg. So I'm squeezing here, I'm holding the leg closed here, and I'm rotating this panel here. I make it look easy because I've done it so many times that it's loosened up nicely. Rotate this part of the foot up. Well, no, that's not true. Jiggle it. Jiggle this part of the foot, and hopefully it's going to expose the lip around the toe, so you can lever that up and open up his foot. We've got to get a little pointy bit of the heel out from under this lip here. Bring the foot out like this and see if it'll come out. No, it won't come out. Just let's try opening up the back of the leg just a little bit. Right. There we go. You've just got to fiddle around until you find the point where it comes out. Remember, do not open the back panel of the leg. What we've got to do is get this portion of the heel swinging around onto the back of the pin joint here. This light blue piece is going to tuck under this plate and come out through this hole. So we've got to push the foot that way as we just open up the panel just a tiny bit like that. But what you need to focus on is getting the foot around there. That's it. See, I haven't deliberately opened up the back panel, I've just allowed it to move if the foot moves the panel, because then it's a joint is pushing against something, the joint isn't being pulled apart. I hope that makes sense. So now we have the heel section is tucked around the corner on this pin joint. This blue piece you can see is almost ready to come out, and now there is actually lots of clearance here. So all I need to do is pull up on the foot until I've got clearance here, and now I can see that I've got space to open up the back of the leg. Beautiful. Flip over the toes, extend the slider so that there's room to close the heel, and flip the foot. Now open up the rear of the calf section as far as you can, push the foot up, slide the thigh out, bring this light blue tab out, get the wheel out the way, slide this slider, because that's what sliders do, close this panel, and then we've got to close this middle panel while keeping this blue piece, this light blue piece, in that hole there. Damn it. That's it. This hole has got to go around this tab, but it doesn't seem to line up as well on this side, and also this has got to go into that little notch there, but again it doesn't seem to line up as well on this side, so I'm going to try and pull the back of the calf this way while pushing the front of the calf that way, and also pulling the thigh out. I hope you saw that there. And then that panel, which I really should have folded round sooner, that closes in there, and then close the foot. Use the ratcheted pin joint, not the articulation joint, close the hips, close the hip panels, skirts, and now we work on the top part. To separate the darker side sections from the wheel arch, the best thing to do is to prise it apart at the wheel arch. Undo all of the wheel arch sections. Let's do one side at a time. Try and prise that out. Then use the double hinge to bring this section up. That will be helpful later. Flip that up. That can come out. This is partly disassembled itself, so that's good. Double hinge this panel up so that it's tucked on the front of the other wheel arch. Separate these two sections. Bring out the arms. Let's connect the wrists while we're here. Just fold these around, and then we want to open up, swivel out on the shoulder joint so that we've got it. Can't be bothered to finish that sentence. Remember to brace the thing that the shoulder is on, this light panel here, because these joints are so stiff. Fold the side of the waist panels in. Now we're going to deal with the head. Get these things out the way. Extend all of these four pale neck panel sections. What we need this recess, which doesn't seem to show very well on camera. But between these two holes there is a recessed section that needs to be facing the front of the vehicle mode, because that gives the clearance for this panel to slide through like that. The head panels, I'm not showing that very well. Out of the 4 light panels here, we need 3 of them to be folded around his chin, bottom of his head and back of his head. Then we can fold that whole section through that hole there. Now we're going to work on getting the head back on top of the torso where it should be. Where this black screw holds this arm and the ab section, we need to get the arm and the ab section at about 90 degrees. Bring these sections out the way. Tuck these thingies in and fold the chest down. And what we want is for this mid blue section and this light blue section to be as close to a straight line as possible. So we've got to hold the arms out the way. I've got the armpits facing downwards, kind of, and they've come right out to the side. But we also need these 2 panels to be folded against each other like this. And we want this panel where it meets the chest, that needs to be as far to the front as possible. So I'm just going to push on the head to collapse that. And then the other 3 panels still need to be folded around his head like before. Hold the arms. We've got the right angle in there. We've got the chest pointing down. Oh, look at that. Now we've got loads of clearance and just need a little bit of assistance on that panel there. There. Well, probably more clearance if you turn the head to the side, but to be honest, the problem is that I haven't got these 2 panels properly in a straight line. I haven't really figured out how to do it, to be honest. Use this hinge to separate this section from this section. Fold all of this section up. So fold this panel inside like that, and then using this joint, we're going to fold all of this section in. So just push it up until it clicks past there, and then we also need to use this joint in the middle to fold it like that. And then on this side, close that panel, push that up there, fold it in like that, close these 2 panels, do we need to bring those out? Yes, bring these tiny little panels out. Rotate these pieces in so that they're flat against each other and just tuck them up there like that and fold those out the way. We're going to put the wheels inside the torso, so we need to have a straight line between this arm with the black screw and the ab section. So bring it up like that. these little panels, you probably want to push them out to the side a little bit, but I'm keeping these light pieces just beside this hinge here. Flip one of the arms in and slide it up. Let's rotate that up so that we've got as much clearance as possible. If you make sure that this panel with the dimple is double hinged up on top of this panel, and then you just swivel that in and it'll go in without any clearance. You might find that it binds on something and it would just be where this hinge is slightly raised there and the rubber is meeting it. So that should go in like that. Let's get that arm out of the way. Slide it down. Bring this arm up and in and around. And then make sure this dimpled wheel arch is up and over the other portion. And got a bit of a problem there, haven't I? That's because that dropped. Oh, for goodness sake. I'm going to have to tighten those screws. I can't do it. Ah, of course, I need to open up the chest panel. If I open up the chest panel, it brings these pieces down, and I haven't opened it enough. That's what we want. And then that goes in there. Arm out the way. Just open these pieces out to the side a little bit. Now what we're going to do is assemble the backpack. Bring these tiny little tabs out the way. I closed them before just to help keep this stable. Now we open this up, swing these pieces in, okay. I want to show you right and wrong here. So this panel is folded in properly and is tucked behind this hinge. This one is not. So make sure they're both tucked behind that hinge. And then if we look at this part here, this is correct, this is not. So make sure it's tucked up there. Then close those. This right angle at this black screw here, we need to bring this arm up so that it's in line with the chest. Then bring this up, close the chest panel so that this gap here goes around this screw. And then we can fold these pieces up and tuck them on top there. Now we're going to fold the backpack down using this silver screw first and then this joint later. These two panels have to go between the wheel arches, so just spread those wheel arches a bit, but not too much. Keep the shoulder pieces out of the way. Something is in the way, but I don't know what. No, it's okay. There we go. And something is stopped. Open up. You need to open up these sideways pieces. That's it. That goes in there. Get the arms out of the way. There's three sides of a rectangle here that has got to enclose this tab here on both sides. As far as I can tell, There's no easy way of doing it. You just need to close the side waste pieces and jiggle everything around until it snaps into place. Keep the wheel arches down. I can feel that one side has got, oh, they've both gone in. If they're closed properly, then you'll see an ugly gap here. If you can't see that ugly gap, then they haven't connected. And now we can close the wheel arch, and this section here is going to go into a tiny little notch there. Bring up this panel and put this rectangle into this hole. And now we've got 3 sections here. 1, 2, 3, and a backpack. First section needs to go up. Second section needs to go down. Third section needs to go up. Backpack comes down. Pegs into place there. Head panel all needs to be straightened out and closed down. Push these 2 dimpled wheel arch sections in. There's a little notch here. Just there. The corner of the wheel arch goes into there, like that. It looks like the corner of this wheel arch is supposed to go into this, but it doesn't. It goes into this. Oops, we're not done. I forgot something. This little panel here needs to be pulled out to fill up the gap. But if you don't do that, gun storage.